Hey everybody, just here to report on three more activities I was able to do this past week. The first one, I'll just go ahead and jump right in. The first one I was able to take part in, and really I pretty much took care of. We went ahead and decided as a group, meaning our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade teachers who are take part in our intermediate center at Plainville. We've been utilizing and trying different things throughout the year, and we kind of just came together and decided maybe it wasn't too late to go ahead and start looking at some different behavior strategies and things that we could do for several of our students. We all kind of felt as a team that we've just been struggling with a lot of the same issues throughout the year, and we really weren't making any headway, and we did have a long discussion about if we just wanted to continue on and finish out the year, or if we wanted to go ahead and make the most of what we had, the time that we had, and knowing that we still had another quarter left to see what maybe we could implement and try to put in place. And so we did. As a core group, we decided to look at a different strategy, and so we took some revisions of our student behavior plans, and we created a behavior track, which you can see here in my slide, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit. It's actually a two-sided form that the students will carry on with them, and we're basically just keeping track of disciplinary issues that we have to face with each one of our students on a daily basis, and as you can see then too, that we have a way for them to keep track and monitor the number of issues that we face, and they work their way through 3 tiers, and we have different strategies for each tier. Tier 1 is our students that we don't have too many issues with, and then eventually, of course, some students will work their way up into Tier 2, and then eventually we'll have some students who work their way up into Tier 3, and again, those are students we are targeting, and looking at just more specific behavior accommodations, or things that we can do to help them. And so we're trying to make the most of what we have left of our year and see if this is something we can put into practice even for the next year and get more consistent with it. I feel like some great positives that come from it it was a team collaborative effort and a design and plan that was specifically fit to our students' needs and to our needs as teachers. And we think we found something that can be utilized school-wide to create more of a consistency across all the grade levels. This has already been passed on to our teachers across the street in our high school building, and also it's made its way down into our lower elementary levels too, and so it's something that everybody's kind of looking at and trying to revamp maybe to fit their classrooms a little bit. And a behavior plan is also correlated through the MTSS and utilizing the 3 tiers as I talked about here just shortly, and to identify our students and help meet their behavior needs. And so I really do think we do have a really good plan in place, and we've seen some positive things with our students who really honestly are just trying to keep themselves down in that lower tier and that green, and they know of some rewards that they will get if they can maintain that and refrain from being in the Tier 2 or Tier 3 or beyond. Some negative things, maybe some things to look back on this. It does identifies our students and tracks their negative behaviors. I did kind of mention in our talk earlier on with all of our other teachers, if we wanted to maybe look at maybe just the flip side and start looking at what we could do to record some positive choices and behaviors. And not that there was a whole lot of disagreement of that with our other teachers, but they really felt like this was probably more effective, and we didn't want to completely refrain away from the positive choices, but we felt like this was going to be more effective for what we were looking at. In reflection, I think it is very important for all classrooms to have behavior plans and management strategies, but I think it's even better and more effective when those plans can be collaborative design and consistent throughout the building. And I'm looking at this as a practice as an administrator maybe down the road, that something that I definitely would like to look at right off the bat and just ask the questions and see what is in place, if anything, and if there isn't something there, maybe that can be one of the first things that really I look into, because again it's such a strong argument of how much students learning truly is affected by their behavior and their choices, and when things in the classroom are not being managed and teachers are having to face a number of different issues strictly because of behavior. The learning does take quite a hit, and it is truly affected in the wrong way. I really feel like this activity and this process really fell strongly under Standard 1, and the educational leader promotes the success of every student by facilitating the development, articulation, and implementation and stewardship of a vision of learning that is shared and supported by the stakeholders. And again, just understanding again that in order to accomplish what we really truly want to within not just the classrooms but in the school, we have to have things such as behavior plans in place, and everybody's aware of it. Teachers, students, everybody, and it truly is a collaborative team effort among everybody, administrators included. The next piece actually is just really an extension from the last activity. After we had put our behavior plan in place and really had spent about a week or two of implementing with our students, we definitely felt like it was important to inform our parents or guardians through an information letter. And so then I took that opportunity to write a letter, again, as you can see behind my video here. And I don't know if you'll really be able to look at the specific details within the letter, but I really just took some time to explain in detail how the plan was put together and why. Make sure parents understood that it wasn't just something that we as teachers threw together. We really took our time and effort, and again, not only looked at strategies or way we could correlate it with our MTSS and the tiers, but also we have what we call the 6 R's at Plainville: responsibility, respect, resourceful, resilient, reliable, and ready. And those are just 6 character traits that we have really been teaching and implementing through our students throughout the year. And so the 6 R's have a huge part in our behavior track, and again, it's trying again just to prepare students for those and allow them to practice those character traits and become better. And so I think a big positive from this activity was that all parents are informed of the expectations and the actions specific to their child's needs and behaviors. We even went through I made a quick little table so they could see clearly what each tier was and how many signatures, and basically those are just how many issues a student may have to deal with, on a day-to-day basis, and just so the parents understood that clearly. Looking back again, some negatives and failures maybe that even with carefully collaborative team effort to write a carefully worded letter, we still had some parent confusion and some disagreements with our strategy, and we evidently had some emails sent back to our administrator, wanting to ask some questions or wondering why this was put in place, and our current administrator, I feel like did a good job of being respectful and just answering the questions and letting them know that we do have some behaviors going on in our classroom that's taking away from the learning, and that I know parents maybe sometimes don't always understand or would agree that maybe that would be such an issue, but for those of us who are in the classrooms on a day-to-day basis, for those of us that understand it, you have to take some action. And so I think again, I feel like our principal really was a good example to follow, the way he replied to emails and took phone calls and things and replied to that. In reflection, the number one thing I think to remember from this activity is to value the importance of informing parents, and they don't like to be told something weeks in the process, or even worse, told from their kids about different things. They want to know from the teachers, from administrators. They want to know from adults, and the last thing you want is creating a school setting that parents find reason to be uncomfortable with. Parents don't want to send their kids to a school where they don't agree with what's going on, obviously. And so we do our best to implement these strategies and things, but we also keep in mind that parents do need to be notified and well aware of what's going on with their students if it comes down to behavior or discipline issues. Really kind of looking at this, I don't know exactly if I'm right or not, but I'm going to go ahead and attach this to Standard 5 simply because with the way our administrator really responded with acting with integrity and fairness in an ethical manner. I think again when you're communicating with parents and you do so in such a way where you're careful in your wording with your letters, and you're careful with your wording and your responses and things. It's all about, it's a fairness, it's an ethical manner. You hold your integrity high, and you as an administrator, you just want to be sure that you're the professional, and making sure that everything is clearly stated, and you can move on and answer questions as needed. Activity number 20. Currently, I'm sure, like many districts, that we are gearing up and getting ready for state assessments. Probably a lot of you maybe have already started the process. We've started the process at our district at the high school level, and we'll be starting that here within our elementary wing here next week. And so in response to that, our current assessment coordinator and our high school counselor, of course, did a lot of the work preparing for the assessments, and I did a lot of the work in the elementary end as far as just the scheduling that I reported on earlier on. In extension to that too, he wanted to make sure that we had a clearly defined calendar of the proctor scheduling, and also we utilized our personal needs profile to make this, and just again to understand we know which kids will need pull out, and who's going to be with those particular students at any particular time, and just know that we had this in place that we could look at and know on a day-to-day basis who's testing at what times, what teachers are going to be available to proctor, what pullouts are going to be taken care of, and who the special ed teachers and paras who will be helping with that. And so this calendar was actually placed in our district assessment portfolio that's kept in the office, and on the event that maybe perhaps we might be audited during our assessments, that this will be something that we do have in place to show. Positive successes is that we're meeting all the requirements of the district record keeping, and securing the best practices for the assessment security, and again there's a lot of different changes that are going on this year as with the assessments, and it seems like they're just a lot more strict on what they're allowing teachers to do, and in terms of proctoring the test, and so again we just want to make sure we're keeping all of our ducks in a row, making sure we're following protocol as far as what's being set out and what's being put in place as far as with the statewide assessments. Some negatives and some failures. It's not always, this is kind of more of a rough draft and not very liquid, and teachers understand that they are happy with their schedule, but also through experience, they know that assessment week means being flexible and ready for change. And so I look at this, and even though I do feel like most of this is probably correct as far as the day-to-day and who's going to be testing, it's also just quite evident that it probably is going to change. Maybe teachers are going to be being need in different rooms at different times, and hopefully we can stick to our schedule as much as possible. But again, assessment week, as many of you know, is quite the week. Again, I'm going to attach this activity to Standard 5. Again, I think following the requirements and doing our best to follow what the state called the protocol for the assessment, doing that with integrity and fairness and in the ethical manner, again I think is important. The assessments are important, and I know we've been hearing a lot of stories about what other schools are facing with the assessments, and the way the program's been just shutting down. We haven't had to experience that yet, but and hopefully we won't. But we're trying to do our best to just maintain that importance with the assessments. We want to assess our kids, and we want to get some data back, and we do treat them important this year. And so again, I think everything we can do, all the practices we can do this year, just to really put us in place for next year. When the assessments do have a little bit more pull to them, we'll be in good shape because we know exactly what needs to be done. And so this, again, I feel like this is another good activity for me to experience as an administrator, just again to follow through, make sure everything's taken place and put in order, and that our assessment portfolio is in good shape. So thank you very much again, and I know we're getting down to the last few video blogs that we have, but I've been looking forward to looking at more that you guys have to share with me, and thank you very much for letting me share some more of mine. Thanks.